Remember that in the previous class, yesterday, we are discussing about subgraphs. So, whether I am audible to you, clearly, some noise is coming near my house actually. So, can you listen to
Your
me?
voice is okay, ma'am.
Voice is?
Ma'am, it's clear.
Okay. Yeah, it's clear. Okay.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am, we
Could
can
you
hear
please,
you
yeah,
clearly.
clear, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Whether my voice is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am,
Okay,
it's clear.
okay, that's fine. Okay. So yesterday, we have discussed about subgraphs. I have told you. Right? So in these subgraphs, we have seen that induced subgraphs. Right? And I have explained you yesterday. So, if you are having a graph, then we also say that this subgraph induced by some vertices. Okay. So, let me give one example here. Suppose you are having any graph that I will draw here some graph. Okay, let me take some loops here and okay. So this let me see if I name the vertices like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of thing. This is a graph G, and I'll say that subgraph induced by, say, here we also use this subgraph induced by, say, this vertices S is equal to, suppose I'll take that 2, 3, 4, say. Let us take this be S1. Okay. So subgraph induced by these three vertices, that 2, 3, 4. So here, you have to consider this subgraph of the graph G, in which you have to consider all the edges of graph G whose end vertices belong to this S1. So, subgraph induced by S2, say S2 is like this. I could have taken, okay, what do you take here? Suppose I'll take that 1, 5, 4, okay, and say suppose I'll take 3. Then you get this subgraph induced by these vertices will be that here you will have this self loop also. So this is the vertex 5, this is vertex 1, and this is 4, this vertex is 3. So no more, edges are there actually in this graph. We are considering this subgraph. Okay, see, this. We are considering this. Okay, this is the marker one. I want a pen. Okay. So this subgraph actually. This is the subgraph induced by this S2 1543 1543. Okay. So this is how we consider that induced subgraph. Well, today we shall learn about some more terminologies. That is, walk in a graph. That is, what do you mean by a walk in a graph? What do you mean by walk in a graph? So, a walk in a graph means I mean, like your usual walk you make, usual walk you make. Suppose, I mean, that you are staying here in the campus, and I mean, in the morning you start from your hostel. Suppose you go to, I mean, say market. From market again you come back to hostel. Then you will go to your department. From your department, say you will go to library. Okay, from your library you will go to some laboratory. Say again you will come back to your department. Okay, like this actually. That you are starting at I mean, then walk in a graph means you are starting at a vortex and you are visiting so many other vortices along the edges, in which the edges, vortices, they may repeat actually. Not necessarily the vortices, edges have to be distinct. So, like, I mean, it corresponds to your usual work. Suppose you'll start from your hostel and you'll visit your department so many times, you'll visit library so many times. Okay, you may visit, say, market also. You may follow the same path. You may visit the same places so many times. So that is what a walk actually. That is what a walk. So a walk in a graph is therefore, I mean, it is consisting of some bodices, ages, kind of thing. Or well, in this graph, suppose I mean, let me consider here some more bodices. I mean, just to explain this work concept and all. And suppose you are having also these edges and say some more parallel edges kind of thing we may have. So let me consider a walk here. Suppose I mean I have taken this. I mean is here say this maybe say E1. This is E1 and say this is E2 like this. This is E3. This is E4. So after I visit this E4, suppose I mean I'll actually go back. Let us take some more I mean edges or self loop. So I'll consider here maybe some more edges say like this and okay, here also suppose I am having some parallel edges here, some parallel edges or more than one parallel edges you may have. So in this case here suppose after this E4 I am taking this edge say E5 and again I will go along this edge. This is say E6. Okay, and sorry, E6. This is E6. Then again, I came back to this vertex 7 again. So this is my say E7. From E7, I went like this E8, and this is say E9. This edge. This is only one edge. Okay, like this. Suppose I have come here up to E9. So see, look how I have traveled, how I have traversed this, I mean, walk. Say, I had started at this vortex 5. I have moved along this edge E1. I arrived at vortex 1. Then I have taken E2. Then I have arrived at vortex 4. Then moved along this E3. Arrived at vortex 3. Then I have taken this edge, this self loop E4, and again, I mean, I arrived at same vortex E3. Then I have moved along E5. So then vortex is 7. I have arrived. From 7, I have taken this E6. I have arrived at vortex 4. Then again, I have taken this E7 and come back to vertex 7. After that, I have taken E8 and arrived at this vertex 6, and then I have taken this E E9, arrived at vertex 4. Up to this, suppose I have taken, this is a walk. This is one example of a walk, say W1. Well, if I would have taken, I mean, consider this W2, suppose I'll take all this of this W1, okay, all these paths that I have taken, this W1 I have considered, and from vertex 4 I have taken, say, it may repeat also, I have taken the another edge here, suppose this is E10, this one is E10, I have taken E10, I have arrived at 1, then I have taken again E1 and I have arrived at vertex 5, okay. So what happened is that this vertex, I mean this W2, for W2, the starting and ending vertices are same, okay. Starting and ending vertices are same. So therefore, this W2 will be called a closed walk, right? W2 will be this is a closed walk. This W2 is closed. However, this W1 is not a closed walk because its starting and ending vertices are different actually. Okay, I'll write down this. This W2 is closed. I'll give this definition. W2 is closed walk, and however W1 is not a closed walk. So this kind of terminology we do use this. So this W2 is a closed walk. However, W2 is a walk, but that is not a closed. W1 is a walk, but that is not closed walk. W1 is a walk, but not a closed walk. Not a closed one, right? So therefore, how do we define a walk? Therefore, its definition of a walk. Here, for vertices UV, I mean, we define a UV walk. So we start with some vertices. For vertices UV, we are considering a graph actually. For vertices UV, I mean, they need not be distinct. Not necessarily distinct. For vertices UV in a graph G, UV walk or UV walk in G is, therefore this is an alternating sequence of vertices and edges, right? We can say that a walk is an alternating sequence of vertices and edges starting and ending with vertices, okay. So in G is an alternating sequence of an alternating sequence. Let me give a notation, an alternating sequence. Say, I'll write in this way, W, I mean that starting one is vertex U, say that we'll say that, suppose this U is, I'll say that vertex W0, and then this next edge I'll say E1, then vertex W1, then vertex edge E2, then vertex W2, like this. Suppose we have this EK and say WK. And here you had of course WK minus 1, and this last vertex is WK is V. Okay, so here alternating sequence, this W, this is vertices of edges, vertices and edges, and not necessarily all the vertices are distinct. Here W of, I'll write down vertices and edges of vertices and edges starting at U, because this is a UV walk, therefore starting vertex is U and ending at V, such that here, I mean every edge is incident on vertices preceding and following it. Such that every edge is incident on vertices preceding and following it. Okay. So, I mean, that is EI, this vertex EI will be this W I minus 1 and W I, right? This is what the EI we have defined, right? I from 1 to k. So, here, I mean the vertices and edges in W need not be distinct actually. Okay, vertices and edges in W need not be distinct. Well, so we can, I mean, define a work in this way. I mean, if this U is equal to V, if U equal to V, then W is called a closed work. W is called a closed work. Otherwise, it is open. Well, moreover, we also consider length of this work. So, length of this work will be number of edges appearing in this work, not, I mean, with counting their multiplicity. Suppose some edge is appearing so many times, I mean, repeating actually, so all the repetitions we have to take into account. So, the length of, here actually this k is the length of the work. Okay, so the length of a work is the number of edges. I mean, with counting multiplicity actually, how many times they are appearing. So I am writing with counting multiplicity. So number of edges appear in the work. Okay, so that is what the length of a work, and in this definition, the length of the work is k. In this definition. So here that length of W is k, right? Length of this work is k. Let us come to this example. That I have given here. So what is the length of W1? You tell me. The length of this walk W1. Length of this walk W1. Tell me, what is the length of walk W1? You tell me.
9.
9. Okay, how many edges it is appearing? 9 or 10? Length of W1? Okay, so this
9.
so this is 1, I mean these are the edges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here 9, yeah. Oh, of course I have, okay, written this also, U1, U2 to E9, so therefore it is 9. However, this length of W2, length of
11.
W2,
11.
11. Length of W2 is here 11. Yeah. So this is how we define length of a walk. Well, so some more, I mean, definitions, I mean, particular cases of this walk will be there. So in a walk, I mean, you note that bodices and edges may repeat. So bodices and edges need not be distinct. But if, I mean, in a walk, all the bodices, I mean, all the edges are different. No repetition of edges will be there. Bodices may repeat. That is called a trail. Okay, that is called a trail in a graph. So a trail is a walk in which no repetition of edges. However, bodices may repeat. So this trail is a walk. Trail is a walk in which no no age repeats, actually, in which no age repeats. However, body says may repeat. No age repeats. No repetition of age is there. Body says may repeat. Body says may repeat. Body says may repeat. So this is called a trail. Okay. So a trail means it will look like, so a trail means that no repetition of ages. I mean, it may happen that some bodices say this vortex may repeat, okay, and it may go like this, right? And say again, suppose this vortex is repeating. So you may have this kind of, I mean, situation that here vortices may repeat, but no repetition of age, any age. This is called a trail. And then we also define a path. Path means that is, I mean, path is basically an open walk. This is an open walk in which all the vortices are distinct. No repetition of any vortex. So see, no repetition of vortex means edges also cannot repeat, right? If no repetition of vortices, then no repetition of edges also, right? So therefore, path is, this is an, this is an open walk. This is an open walk in which all the vortices are distinct. All the vortices are distinct. So therefore, here, I mean, in a path, no repetition of vortices and no repetition of edges also. So therefore, all the vortices are distinct means, and this is a open walk, right? this is an open walk. So therefore a path will look like this. Well, and a path, I mean for paths actually we shall use the notation. A path on n vertices will be denoted by a path on n vertices is denoted by Pn. A path on n vertices is denoted by Pn. So here in this example, this is P5, 5 vertices, right? Then we define this cycle, right? Then we define a cycle. And I mean some people they say also circuit kind of thing, this kind of terminology they use, but we shall use cycle. Okay, cycle in a graph. So cycle is, tell me what will be the definition, tell me. It is clear now. Cycle you know, you understand. How should we define a cycle therefore? This will be a,
Ma'am, a closed path.
closed path. Path is always open. We'll say that this is a closed walk in which all the vertices are distinct except the end vertices, we can say. Right? We shall say this is a closed walk. Path is always open. So therefore, a walk can be closed or open. So this is a closed walk. This is a closed walk, we will say. Closed walk in which all the vertices are distinct except the end vertices. Okay. End vertices, anyway this is closed means starting and ending vertices have to be same. This is a closed walk in which all the vertices are distinct. All the vertices are distinct. Okay, except the end vertices, you can say. Except the end vertices. So a cycle on n vertices is, again we shall denote this notation, we will use a notation. So a cycle on n vertices is denoted by Pn. This notation we shall use throughout actually. So therefore you are having that, okay, say this will be, I mean this will be your C3, like this is I mean C4. Okay, so this is how we use the notation, and the definition will be given like this. Well, so here, I mean, we may have also this, sometime actually, we may also define this cycle of length 2, that C2. So, I mean, in case of that multigraph, you may have sometime we refer this as C2 also. Okay, so this will be say vertex B1, B2. I mean, you are taking this as E1 and then E2 kind of thing. So, and also, I mean, sometime actually in that multigraph and all, you may take this as your C1 also for our, that convention, that we may take this as C1 also. Okay, self. Well, so then we define actually in a graph, once we have these paths and all, we define a connected graph. So what do we mean by a connected graph? We define a connected graph. So connected graph means a graph in which for every pair of vertices, you should there should be a path between every pair of vertices. Okay, let me give some example. Well, so here suppose I will draw this graph. Okay, I have drawn this graph. And another graph I'll draw here. Suppose I'll draw another graph. Okay, so these two graphs you look at. Say this is G1 and this is G2. Okay, so that G2 is G1 is a disconnected graph. G1 is a disconnected graph. That you can see, right? G1 is a disconnected graph. Say the bodices are like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Suppose. Yeah. So G1 is a disconnected graph. This is not a connected graph, right? Because we can separate them out, kind of thing. Or we can in our graph theoretic language, we can say that if I consider say this vertex 1 and this vertex say 4. So there is no path from vertex 1 to vertex 4. There is no path from vertex 1 to vertex 4 in this graph. So therefore, this is a disconnected graph. Whereas this G2, this is a connected graph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Say the name of the vertices. If I consider any pair of vertices, say from vertex 1 to vertex 5, vertex 1 to vertex 5, we are having a path. See, there is a path from vertex 1 to vertex 5. Also, you are having more than one path. Another path also you can see that. Another path also you are having, that from vertex 1 to vertex 1 to vertex 5, you are also having another path here, right? But in the definition of a connected graph, only one path will do. I mean, we say that a graph is a connected graph if for every pair of body, let me write the definition. So graph G is called a connected graph, called a connected graph G is called connected if for every pair of bodices, for every pair of bodices UV, U is not equal to V, okay? U is not equal to V, there exists a UV path in the graph G. Okay, so for every pair of distinct vertices UV, we should have a UV path in the graph. Then we say this graph is a connected graph. Otherwise, the graph will be called disconnected. Otherwise, the graph is disconnected. The graph is disconnected. So, in a disconnected graph, I mean, if we are having a disconnected graph, then we'll have that concept of components. We'll have that concept of components. So, let us consider another graph here. Let us consider another graph in this. I mean, suppose I am having, I'll take some more bodices anyway. So here I am taking like this, and suppose here, okay, I may take a self loop also, and here some more edges or some more, I mean, this bodices, edges, I'll consider here. So this graph, I have drawn some graph here. Okay, and I may consider this die and some isolated vortices I may have also. So this is one example of a disconnected graph. Say name this vortex as G3 say, and the vortices are like this. Say 1, 2, 3, say 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have considered 10 vortices in this graph G3, and you can see that this G3 is a disconnected graph. G3 is a disconnected graph. G3 is a disconnected graph, and in this G3 we are having some components. Okay, we are having some components. If the graph is disconnected, then we will have some components. So we will define a component. What is a component in a disconnected graph? So maximal connected subgraph of G are called components of G. Okay, so here I mean maximal connected maximal maximal connected maximal connected subgraph of G are called components of G are called components. Sometimes people do use the connected components also they say, or simply we say components of G. So here in this example, maximal connected subgraph, say for example, here if I consider these vortices, okay, so just you look at this vertex set, suppose 6, 8 and 10. So 6, 8 and 10. So 6, 8 and 10 if I consider here, so this maximal connected subgraph, or you can say that induced subgraph on this vortices. Okay. So here this maximal connected subgraph, or here inside this induced subgraph, that we have to take that all these edges here actually, all these edges here we take. In fact, this is an induced subgraph on this vertex set. So this is what the maximal connected subgraph on these three vortices. Okay, so this is what this that maximal connected subgraph on these three vortices. See, if I would have, so this will be a component. Say, if I would have taken only this part, say 6 to 10, say let me say that 6 to 10 and that, this portion, say. Okay, suppose I will consider this is 6, 10 and this is 8. Okay, so here I am not considering this as 6, 8. So whether this will be a component. That this subgraph here I have considered whether this will be a component. This will be a component of this graph G3. Whether this will be a component? No, this will not be a component, that because it is not a maximal connected subgraph, because it is contained in another connected subgraph. Okay, it is connected in another subgraph, that is supergraph, we can say there, another connected subgraph. That is why this won't be, that without this edge, if I drop this 6, 8, it won't be maximal connected subgraph. So therefore, the components, that would have not been a component if we drop this edge 6, 8. So now tell me the number of components in this example G3 here. How many components are there in this graph, in this example that of this graph G3? So What is the number of components of G? Number of G3. Number of components of G3. Tell me how many components are there? How many components are there? Answer this. Who can answer that? What is the number of components in this graph G3? Can you answer?
Ma'am, 3.
Huh? 3. Okay, let us see anybody else. What is your name?
3.
3.
Yes,
No,
ma'am.
like, are we
Five.
talking about the star and the triangle as well on the right, or just the star and the?
Oh, what is
semicircle?
my G3? Okay, forget about it. This G3 I have drawn is this, na?
Yes, ma'am. There are 3 components.
G3 is this.
No. There are 4 components. 4 components. There are 4 components. Yes, ma'am. 4
Okay.
components.
One increased. Okay, anybody else?
3 components.
Huh?
1, 2 is one component. 3, 7, 9 is one component, and the others are one component.
Others are one component. You are putting this 4 and 5 also in the
4
same
and 5
component.
are not in
4
that
and 5 are
component.
actually different components.
They're
Yeah.
distinct components.
5 components, ma'am.
5 components.
5
Number of
components.
components will be 5. Okay, another thing you note that. So a component is a connected graph. Huh? This word is there, you see. So a component is a connected graph only. Connected subgraph we can say. Okay. A component is a connected subgraph. We have to keep this in mind. Connected subgraph. In fact, that is a maximal connected subgraph. Okay, that word, I mean, maximal, you should use, maximal connected subgraph. So if you put this 4 and 5 in the same component, in the same component, if you are going to put this 4 and 5, so this is not a connected subgraph, right? This is not a connected subgraph. You don't have a path from 4 to 5. So this is a disconnected one. So they will not be coming in under same component. They will not belong to the same component, right? So therefore, number of components of G3 is 5. So all the components are that you are having this vertex, say this, I mean C1 first component will be that is consisting of say vertex 4. Second component is vertex 5. Now you understand, right? You know this C3 will be, suppose I'll take this connected subgraph that 1 and 2 joining this 1 and 2, and then the other two you can see here. C4 you can see that I have taken like this 3, 7, 9, and the other one I have already drawn over here, that C5, that C5 is this. Okay, you are having the C5 be like this. It is 6, 10, 8, 6, 8, and 10. These are the 5 components. Okay, fine. Well, so we'll discuss more about the connected graphs. In fact, we use this again and again, this concept. So another interesting concept I'll tell you, that how can we represent a graph, I mean input a graph in a computer. So you know that I mean this nowadays this concept of graph theory and all that is useful in almost every branches of science and engineering, and for some cases actually lots of computations will be there. So in that case, manually it may not be possible. We do take help of a machine. So in a computer, how to input a graph? How should we input a graph in a computer? Well, we cannot draw this figure, I mean, say in a computer, all the edges, vertices kind of thing, and we cannot work in that way actually in a machine. So there should be a method, I mean, simpler method to represent a graph in such a way that that can be implemented in a machine. So how should we go for that? So one, I mean, interesting way of, I mean, representation of a graph which can be implement or input in a machine is that a matrix corresponding to a graph we can define. We can define a matrix corresponding to a graph. So nowadays, several matrix representation of graphs are there. Several matrix representation. So here, one important one and very basic, I mean that is fundamental, and that people have, I mean, do use this representation mostly for representation of a computer in a machine is the adjacency matrix of a graph. So for given any graph, we can represent that graph as a matrix in matrix form. So that is called, in fact, I'll discuss now two different matrices. One will be adjacency matrix and the other one is incident matrix, incidence matrix and adjacency matrix. So first let us look this adjacency matrix of a graph. So this is very popular one, this adjacency matrix, and very basic and popular one to represent a graph. So adjacency matrix of a graph, adjacency matrix of a graph. So adjacency matrix of a graph will be that if a graph is having n number of vertices, first I am telling, I'll write it then. So if the graph has n number of vertices, then that graph will correspond, its adjacency matrix will be a square matrix of order n by n matrix. And the first what I am explaining is the following, this way, that you just look at, if you are having a graph on n vertices, then the corresponding adjacency matrix will be n by n matrix, and here the vertices of the graph are say v1, v2, v3, say vn, and the rows and columns will be indexed by vertices of the graph. And here this ijth entry, say ijth entry aij will be equal to the number of edges between ith and jth vertices. So this is ith vertex vi and this is jth vertex. So aij, ijth entry, that will be equal to number of edges between vi and vj. So this will be number of edges between vi and vj. So this will be the adjacency matrix of the graph. Well, so I'll write down the definition and then we'll see some example. So let G be a graph. Here I am considering undirected graph only. We are considering only undirected graph that I have told you in the beginning. Let G be a graph with vertex set of G, B, V1, V2, Vn. N vertices are there. The adjacency matrix of G Usually we denoted by A of G is a square matrix of order n is square matrix is a square matrix of order n whose rows and columns are indexed by, so I'll write that also, whose rows and columns are indexed by vertices of G and ijth entry and ijth entry is equal to the number of edges between Vi and Vg, right? So this is what the adjacency matrix we can have. Let us see one example quickly. Suppose I am making a graph like this. Consider this graph. Okay, I have taken this one, and here say there may be some parallel edges. One more parallel edge is there, and say here also I am having a parallel edge kind of thing. Okay, say the vertices are 1, 2, say 3, 4, 5. I have named the vertices 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want, you can name like this also. V1, V2, okay, just to, V1, V2, V3, V4, V5. Okay, suppose I have named the vertices. So this is our graph G in this example. So therefore, its adjacency matrix will be 5 by 5 matrix because there are 5 vertices. So V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, and here V1, V2, V3, V4, V5. The rows and columns you can. So between V1 to V1, see there is a self loop. So therefore this will be equal to 1. And V1 to V2 you are having 1 edge. So V1 to V3 no edges, that is 0. So V1 to V4 that is also 0, this entry. So V1 to V5 one edge is there. So that is equal to 1. So then V2 to V1, in fact this will be a symmetric matrix, right? This matrix will be symmetric matrix. You see this V2 to V1 you are having 1 edge, V2 to V2 itself, that is 0. There is no self loop at V2. Then V2 to V3, that is no, there is no edge. V4 also no edge, therefore 0. V2 to V5, however, there are 2 edges. So therefore you get 2. Then V3 to V1, no. V3 to V2, no edges are there. V3 to V3 itself, no self loop is there at V3. V3 to V4, however, you are having 3 edges. So this entry will be equal to 3. And V3 to V5, no, 0. Similarly, you will complete this. So this V4 to V1, 0, V2, 0, V3, there are 3. No self loop at V4, therefore 0. V5, there is 1. So then V5 to V1, 1 edge. V5 to V2, there are 2 edges. V5 to V3, no. V5 to V4, 1. And V5 to itself, no self loop, so 0. So this is what the adjacency matrix of this graph. See here, this matrix, adjacency matrix is always a symmetric matrix. Adjacency matrix will always be a symmetric matrix. Well, because we are not considering that directed edges. Okay, for digraphs, the matrix will not be symmetric, but for any graph, any undirected graph or that graph, the adjacency matrix is always a symmetric matrix. And another thing you note down here that, I mean, if we, consider this ordering, this ordering of the vertices, if you change the ordering, the matrix will also be permuted accordingly. Okay, the matrices will also be permuted accordingly, right? So tomorrow we shall continue from here. Today it is already time, and that's all for today. Okay. Any question? Tell if you have any question, any doubt.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Huh.
In the adjacency matrix, you are telling that if there are multiple edges, then we like add one to that adjacency matrix.
Okay, 1 minute. What is your question?
Like in a graph, if there are like multiple edges between two nodes, then we
Yeah.
are adding a one to that point, right?
Huh.
So like sometimes this adjacency matrix may refer to as the weight matrix of a graph.
Yeah.
So like how can we then differentiate, like if there are two edges of different weights, like one edge is of 2 weight and other is of 3 weight.
Okay.
So like how can we show it in the adjacency matrix?
Okay. In that case, actually, that weighted matrix, no, we cannot have that. Adjacency weighted kind of thing. This
Okay.
matrix only tells about the adjacency. It doesn't give any
Got it.
weight actually. This is
Okay,
only
okay.
this is that is why the name is adjacency matrix. That is why the name is adjacency matrix. It will give you idea about adjacency only.
Got it, got
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fine.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.